Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Red Lentil Soup with lemon mint yogurt. That's right, it is not completely normal to be this excited over a soup, especially for what's almost and could be a vegetarian soup. But I just can't help it. This stuff was so delicious and satisfying and comforting, and not to mention gorgeous. Considering how absolutely simple it is to make, I think my level of excitement is completely appropriate. So with that, let's go ahead and get started by melting some butter in a saucepan over medium-high heat. And then to that we will toss in a diced onion, an extremely large pinch of salt, and then about 3 or 4 seconds of tomato paste. Okay, if you're using a tube, that is. Okay, if you're taking it from a can like the olden times, that's about 3 or 4 tablespoons. And what we'll do here is stir that in, and we'll cook that for, about 5, 6, or 7 minutes, or until our onions start to soften up. And much more importantly, that tomato paste starts to caramelize onto the bottom. Alright, so do not be scared. We're going to need you to cook that until it's darker than you're probably comfortable with. But don't worry, you can do it. And even if it chars a little bit, it's going to be fine. And by fine, I mean probably even a little better. And then what we'll do once that's been accomplished is go ahead and toss in some finely minced or crushed garlic, along with some ground cumin and a little bit of cayenne. And we'll cook that stirring for just about 2 minutes. At which point we'll stop and add our chicken broth, or vegetable broth if you want this animal-free. Or if business is slow, you could even use water. And then what we'll do is give that a stir and wait for it to come up to a simmer. And while we're waiting, we can go ahead and toss in our lentils. And there's mine. As advertised, I'll be using these beautiful red lentils, although the other, uglier varieties of lentils will work. And we'll go ahead and dump those in, along with some diced celery and some diced carrot, which only take a minute to prep, but add so much extra depth of flavor to the soup. So don't skip those. And then what we'll do after we give that a stir, and it comes back to a simmer, is reduce our heat to medium-low. And we will simmer this, stirring occasionally, for about 40 minutes, until our vegetables and lentils are very, very soft and tender. And of course, your times may vary. So after about 30 minutes, give it a test, and adjust from there. And then what we can do while our soup is simmering is make our lemon and mint yogurt. And for that, I'm going to do a little optional step where we dunk our mint leaves for a few seconds in some simmering water, and then quickly shock them in some cold water, after which I will squeeze out the excess, or at least most of it, and toss that in this mortar with a big pinch of salt. And then I'll proceed to smash it into a paste. And while you can do this with just some sliced up fresh mint, the theory is by giving it a quick blanch first, it will retain the green color if you make it ahead. But either way, once that's smashed, we will stop and add some lemon zest, as well as some freshly squeezed juice. And then we'll finish up with some plain Greek yogurt. And we'll give all that a nice mix, creating a very pretty, brightly flavored condiment for our soup. And by the way, if you're not into the yogurt, some crumbled feta is also very nice with this. But anyway, we'll mix that up. And if we make it ahead, we'll go ahead and refrigerate that until needed. And then once that's set, we will head back to the stove to check our soup. And this is what mine looked like after about 35 minutes. But we almost never go by looks, so we'll grab a spoon and give it a taste. And we want to make sure those veggies and lentils are very, very tender, which mine were. And at this point, our soup is technically done, and we could serve it as is. But I highly recommend taking an immersion blender and pureeing about half of those lentils and vegetables into the soup, which is not only going to make the texture creamier and more luxurious, it's also going to make the color more beautiful. So you decide. I mean, you are, after all, the creature from the Black Lagoon, of your split legume. But personally, I do think blending a little bit makes it much nicer. And by the way, speaking of black lagoons, while it will taste the same using green or black or brown lentils, I think the appearance here is so much nicer with the red ones. And while still delicious and nutritious, those other varieties always do look a little muddy in the bowl, whereas this stuff is a lot easier on the eye. And that's it. We'll go ahead and give this a taste for salt. And it almost always needs a little more. And then once we're happy with it, we can grab a ladle, because this soup is now ready to be bowled. And we'll garnish with a spoon of our lemon mint yogurt, which you could just leave as a dollop. But I like to give it a little swirl, so it kind of looks like a cloud. Or some blurry yogurt. And then I went ahead and finished up with a little pinch of finely sliced mint. And that's it. Our red lentil soup is ready to enjoy. And I already explained at the beginning why I was so excited about this soup. Okay, it's delicious, comforting, satisfying, and beautiful. But it's also thanks to the lentils, kind of meaty. And maybe earthy's a better word than meaty. But as you're eating this, it really doesn't seem like a vegetable-based soup. Which, by the way, is why this minty, lemony yogurt works so well swirled into this. And I know I snuck a little bit of chicken broth in there. But you don't have to if you want this vegetarian. And in fact, if you use one of those nut-based yogurts, I believe you could actually go full vegan. I think. I'm not sure. All right, what I don't know about veganism is a lot. But what I do know, no matter which way you swing, is that you are absolutely going to love this easy-to-make, beautiful, and delicious soup. Which is why I really do hope you give this a try soon. So please follow the links below for the ingredient amounts, a printable written recipe, and much more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.